Hello, this is the Harbor and Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. Okay, so feedback is immensely important. So feel free to reach out to me, and the sources for you to do so will be provided. Alright, so some of the audio platforms that I'm on Spreaker, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, just to name a few. Alright, so this episode is centered around the show Love Boat, the original show, and then like I did with Fantasy Island last week, I'll also give some commentary about the aspects of them, relaunching that, or that aspects of the Love Boat and everything. Bring that back in this day and time. Here we go. Alright, so my thoughts about The Love Boat. I think The Love Boat was a show that was a sign of the time. So in the 70s, as I had mentioned before in other podcast episodes, it was more about people just really merging the gap between moving ahead and then building everything as far as careers and so forth. And on the same token to that, you can see that there was a lot of liberal connotations, liberal liberties, pun intended, as you can take that, in the show. And so what I mean by that is, for instance, Isaac, the bartender. So you can tell with having a character like him, and then various other characters, specifically his character, supposed to center around the aspects of the mainstream focus on African American culture. And so it was a means and a ways of saying, bridging the gap and being, we are all cohesive together. You can also see the aspects on expanding onto that with the aspects of traditional view takes about love and relationships. But specifically when there's a nudge and winks into the innuendos that was traced and showcased all throughout the show. And so what I mean by this is that you can tell, especially with the captain, that his being tomcattery was very prevalent in the series. And then going with the aspects of other casting and everything else, part of the main cast, and then the assortment of people that would guest star and come on. It was very prevalent that they were making references to the aspects of we're trying to find out how to go to the next level with the aspects of the sexual revolution that was really prevalent, going on in the 60s. Translate that to how that's more a movable working machine in the 70s. And so, there's a lot of stereotypes that come out of the 70s with, where it was really heightening the aspects of sexual liberties, where it'd be swingers and all these kind of images, sleazy and and really bravado, cheesy type of images when it comes to the aspects of interpersonal relationships and so forth, where if it's not really more casual than interpersonal, but still at the same time it was, very prevalent, very evident. There are people that is not interested in that. They want to just have a family. They want to have careers. They want to just work, and either they want to continue that traditional value of, so the woman stays at home or so forth, and the man goes out and works, or vice versa, wherever the case may be, with the aspects of changing their ideas, where it goes with the nucleus of family, the nuclear family, and then what does that actually mean in the day and in the present time of the 1970s. And so it's quite interesting when they had, guests like, can't think about her real name, but the mother from Happy Days, for instance. So she goes, there's one episode where she goes on the Love Boat, and her and her friend are really, proving the point of the aspects that you can still flaunt it, you still have it at any age, right? So this is very prevalent to the aspects of things now, in the terms and the conditions of women and their dispositions with relationships, and so, and that's also quite interesting because it's in this episode, which is, part of the territory to glamorize the aspects of being an older, in the senior level of older. There's a difference between older, but you're still young, but senior level of older, and still being within that prime. When in reality, the case of that, that's variations to what that actually means. And then most of the time, it's, especially at that time, I know I'm just taking it from my point of view, and I wouldn't know because I wasn't around at the time. I can't stress enough the importance of how much I value history, because the whole point of my value in history is, if you understand what has already happened, you know where you're going to go in the future. So, and older women at the time, being single, most of the cases is because they were widowed and so forth. And so that was really something that was newly thought of, that a woman was single because she chose to be that way. And so, when you get this, when this is leaking into the 70s, from the 60s to the 70s, you can see how these things are bridging the gap in this series, when they, make commentary about these older women wanting to, feel the glamorous attitudes of being single and trying to get that valuable suitor. And so when that translates to my next point here. So when they brought back the Love Boat, calling it the Real Love Boat in 2022, it's quite interesting. So, having it where it merged from my take of it was like it was a pseudo reality show, which a lot of Bravo will really pave the mark within the aspects of reality television, taking it to the next level. And there was a lot of shows, especially Below the Decks, a show like that, where it was and the popular focus to get into the daily lives of what it be like to imagine, or what it might be like to be, what the lives entail with being on a cruise ship. And so this whole attitude, the aspects of, sex and scandal really made its way more prevalent in the remake. Again, with the sign of the times, with the aspects of what do people really, in this point in time, really tune in for the drama. Alright, so going back to what I was mentioning and saying about the Happy Days episode, and I'll wrap it up with my thoughts on that. That, the show was, with that example, was really saying that the whole idea of what is traditionally thought to think, to do, and feel, and be in the aspects of leisurely time is changing. So when you get even more case in point, the mother from Happy Days. So, it's quite interesting, the nostalgia within nostalgia. So, you have a show set in the 70s about the 1950s. And so the 50s is supposed to be the beacon of hope for the traditional American values, just American culture in itself. And so out of that, there's certain imagery that comes along with the territory. So you have, mom, dad, white picket fence, as they say, 2.5 kids, which that really means 3 kids, which is interesting with that whole, how that weird, I guess fraction, or, how they came about. Well, when that's supposed to be the statistical barrier of the ideal family, so to speak, when that's, you can't have a half a kid, but it's just, I'm being facetious here, but it's just, that's what I mean. You, with that, the goal here is to want more and to be able to afford to have more, and you can do so, and the economy can let you have that pursuit, because everything was really thriving and booming at the time in the 50s. And so that's the time when people, okay, we have more, exceedable income, extra income, we can go out and travel. So, you get the imagery of families going out, and with the Route 66, and then you get the aspects of later on with Walt Disney forming the first theme park. It was centered mainly around families and how those values are within traveling the road with your children, and adults versus children, and commingling all that together and making it work. Now, you transition to the 60s and the 70s, particularly to the case in point in this show. Now, it's the 70s, but people, are still having the traditional values. They're still prevalent there, but things are new. So more people are more inviting to the aspects of the single life, of adult theme realities of the situation. So with all this said, I'm going to get into the facts. Here we go. Alright, so here are the facts, and of course sources will be provided for you. Alright, so okay. Alright. The Love Boat was an American romantic comedy drama television series that aired on ABC from September 20, which was September 24th when it aired in 1977, all the way until 1986, May 24th, that is. spanning 9 seasons and 250 episodes, with additional specials and made-for-TV movies following its conclusion. The show was set aboard a fictional cruise ship, Pacific Princess, featuring a regular cast of crew members, including Captain Merrill Stubbing, Gavin McLeod, Dr. Adam Doc Bricker, Bernie Copel, and bartender Isaac Washington, which was Ted Langham. While each episode introduced new guest stars as passengers, the series was based on the non-fiction book Love Boats by real-life cruise director Geraldine Saunders, and his success significantly boosting the popularity of cruising, leading to a boom in new cruise ships and constructions in the 80s. Alright, so the show's format featured multiple interwoven stories per episode, often focusing on romantic and dramatic adventures involving the crew and guest passengers, with a structure that included a straight comedy, and a romantic, and a more serious drama. With the aspects of it, coming into terms, Hill Street Blues really took that to the next level, with understanding that life in itself isn't really all that black and white. And if you want to depict the way that people converse with each other, or interact with each other, or work with each other, or so forth, the way the world works, it's much easier to blend all these genres together into one piece, to where, okay, that's more captivating, that's more interesting for an audience to want to watch. Alright, so the series was produced by Aaron Spanlin again, and was a part of ABC's popular Saturday night lineup alongside shows like Fantasy Island. So the iconic theme show was written by Paul Williams and Charles Fox, originally performed by Jack Jones, and later replaced by Dionne Warwick for the final season. Okay, so filming took place on a real cruise ship, primarily the Pacific Princess and its sister ship, Island Princess, which were used during their actual cruises, and real passengers sometimes appearing as extras. So the Pacific Princess, after being renamed the MS Pacific and later MS Princess, sorry about that, was scrapped in Turkey, and in 2013, after a long history of service and final difficulties with that. The show featured over 500 celebrity guest stars throughout its run, including Florence Henderson, who appeared 9 times, and Robert Reed, who made a guest appearance, creating a memorable moment when 2 former Brady stars passed each other halfway. So Gavin McLeod and Bernie Copel and Ted Langer were the only cast members also to appear in every episode of the series. So the 4 specials and the final made for TV movie. Alright, so I'm gonna go tend to my baby. So something's going on. Let's check out and see what's going on. So this reaches the end of the Harboring Light, and of course I'd like to know what you all think. Tune in, turn up, and always take care. Bye bye for now. Alright, what's wrong, sweetie?